Nourish the Mind and Body, navigating the path to a healthy relationship with food. Well, I'm hoping today that you'll be able to get some information regarding what eating disorders look like, what are the warning signs of eating disorders. We will have some audience participation requirements, so we'll be discussing about myths or facts about eating disorders, the effects of media and what to do about it, and how it affects our relationship with food, the importance of food, and how to help others or yourself, and where to look for help. Okay, another disclaimer. I want to make sure this is a sensitive topic, and the things that were discussed here might trigger some unpleasant feelings among the members of the audience. So please, if you feel that a little bit discomfort, or you don't feel or are struggling with this topic, feel free to step away and take care of yourself. And you can always gather this information at a later time. So let's talk about what is eating disorders. Eating disorder, and I must stress this, it's a real life threatening mental and physical illness. When we think about eating, we always think about the physical body, but eating disorders have to do a lot with also your mind and your mental health. Individuals with eating disorders are usually overly concerned about their weight and what they're eating. Eating disorders will come in several forms. There are several types of eating disorders. One is anorexia, which is characterized by self-starvation and weight loss, resulting in low weight for height and age. There is also bulimia nervosa, which is individuals tend to binge eat, and due to their guilt or feelings regarding the binge eating, their disgust of it, they try to purge it by self-induced vomiting, misuse of laxative, and other methods. There is also binge eating disorder, which is different from bulimia in that you're eating large amount of foods in a short amount of time, and you feel like you can't control what or how much you're eating. Sometimes this ties into eating to calm or soothe yourself. There's other types of eating disorders. One is avoidant restrictive food intake disorder. This is a persistent failure to meet nutritional needs by being overly picky with food. So these are individuals who won't eat certain foods because of the texture or because of the way they look, or they'll only eat, say, pizza, or they'll only eat bacon. And that could tie into a lot of other underlying reasons why that could be due to their own obsessive thoughts about that food, or as I mentioned before, it could be due to sensitivities such as texture or taste. There are other specified feeding or eating disorders. These eating disorders are usually cause of distress and do not fit the other categories listed above. One of them is the pica disorder, where a person compulsively eats things that are not considered food and have no nutritional value, such as they'll eat their own hair, they'll eat paper, plastics, etc. I have to reiterate that all of these disorders should be taken seriously because they affect your physical health. Using that information that I've shared with you, I'm going to ask some audience participation and give you scenarios. I apologize. I'm already in scenario 2, but with this scenario, Justin is 16 years old. He's a wrestler, the best in his weight class. But if he gains 5 pounds, he'll get bumped up a weight class and have to wrestle larger guys and possibly lose. So Justin exercises obsessively. He also takes laxatives to lose weight, and he's thrown up a few times after friends dragged him out for fast food. Justin even stops drinking water for a day before he gets weighed for a match. So I'm asking you guys whether you want to throw it in the chat or open up your mic to say which eating disorder do you think this individual Justin has? What is he suffering from? Please feel free to share.
Could it be a combination of two?
Which one? What do you think it is?
I think because it says that it's thrown away sometimes, like throw out. Like I think anorexia could be one.
Okay.
Could be bulimia too. I don't know. Just thinking.
Oh, you're right. It could be both, but it's more likely bulimia because he's using laxatives and throwing up to purge the food that he's already eaten. So usually that's more of a symptom of bulimia. But thank you, Zoe. Here's another scenario. Sophia is 15 years old. At 5'5" tall and 115 pounds, she always looks in the mirror and sees a fat person. At dinner, she tells her parents, "I'm not hungry, I'll eat later." But Sophia doesn't eat later because she has begun to starve herself in secret. For the past week, she's been eating about 400 calories a day. What is Sophia suffering from? Whitney and Julia said anorexia. They are correct. Yes, it's an anorexia because she's limiting her food intake. Now we're going to go into what are the cause and warning signs of eating disorder. Some of this might seem obvious, but it's good for you guys to know. The causes of eating disorder. There is no singular cause of eating disorders. In fact, genes can often play a factor in whether someone may suffer from an eating disorder because it runs in families. These things should take into consideration whether it is because they are in a family that kind of promotes a certain ideal body type or a certain eating style. Could be an influence, or it could actually be in the genes where they have it in themselves that they feel more likely to have eating disorders to address underlying anxiety or mental health issues. As I mentioned before, environment plays a role, as I said, about families probably influence each other, but also cultures can play a role. So that means such as individuals who are in certain sports or even performing arts such as dance can promote this ideal body weight or ways to manage an ideal body weight for that sport or that activity. Other causes of eating disorder, as we talked about, is social factors outside of certain clubs or sports that you participate in, but also your friends and what they think is ideal can also influence whether you will have an eating disorder or not. And especially media plays a big factor in that. Can anyone tell me how media can play a big factor in whether someone might have an eating disorder or not? Yes, Armando.
Definitely media plays a role because like they kind of it tells people what they should look like and how they should kind of dress and how it influences, especially the youth, it influences a lot of what they want to do because they see that, oh, this is getting one, it's getting views, it's getting likes, and it makes everything more popular.
Yes, thank you, Armand. Yes, he hit it on the nail. Especially this generation growing up with social media, it has impacted their way of what is considered popular or ideal. So if you can tell, I'm not sure if everybody has watched on TV. There's a certain commercial right now by Eli Lilly for regarding the weight loss injection medications that are out that are very popular, trying to counter the current trend of celebrities using these medications for weight loss for these, as you know, what happened yesterday was the Oscars, for any of those kind of events. So we should really criticize and critically analyze what is being portrayed out there and the celebrities that we are viewing and how they maintain their weight and whether it's healthy or not. Apologize to see. Warning signs. Warning signs of eating disorders. Emotionally or behaviorally, if you see a friend or a loved one seem to be preoccupied with weight, their shape or their appearance, or dieting is a main concern, usually that can be a sign of eating disorders. I know that some of us, when we're friends, we talk about like, oh, I gained a little weight, or we discuss about like, oh, I shouldn't eat that. But this is excessive. This is somebody who even withdraws from social occasions such as parties because they know that they'll be tempted by the food or the drinks that are out there. These are individuals who are excessively looking at their body every time they pass through a mirror or any kind of reflection. Okay. Of course, when you see noticeable physical changes, such as weight fluctuation, individuals who have their skin looks unhealthy, their hair and nail health looks poor. These might be individuals who are suffering from an eating disorder. They might also exhibit difficulty concentrating, always seeming fatigued, and have dizziness upon standing. How does eating disorders affect our body? Of course, it might seem obvious, but if we don't feed our body the nutrition that we need, we're going to suffer muscle loss. We might have low or irregular heartbeat, bloating, nausea, constipation, difficulty concentrating, and hormonal changes. And in the most severe cases, it might even lead to premature death. Right now, I'm going to show you a video that'll go more in depth about the signs of an eating disorder. Please inform me if there's any issues with regards to hearing the video.
My son was on the wrestling team. When he cut weight by 2 classes, we started to worry.
We had always enjoyed family dinner together, but my daughter started to be very rigid about what she would eat. Eventually, she refused to join us and stayed in her room.
One of my boys would just sit and watch TV and eat snacks. I would find wrappers and food containers everywhere, and he gained 20 pounds in a month.
Our oldest daughter would leave the table to be by herself after every meal. She got sick all the time and looked so pale, but she wouldn't talk about what was going on.
These are the voices of parents who have noticed behavior in their children that could indicate a feeding or eating disorder. The most common of these disorders include anorexia nervosa, bulimia nervosa, and binge eating disorder. These are complex mental health conditions that often occur during the teenage years and can be the source of physical problems, emotional distress, and even medical crisis. Detecting feeding and eating disorders as early as possible is an important step in helping. Keep a few simple things in mind. Watch behavior. People with feeding or eating disorders often attempt to hide their conditions. Watch for behavior like withdrawing from family mealtime, refusing to eat certain foods, having a rigid rule about food, stockpiling or hiding food, calorie counting, excessive exercise, vomiting when not ill, or using laxatives. Try to connect. Talking about these challenges must be done empathetically, compassionately, and kindly. But the seriousness of the conversation must also be clear. People struggling with their thoughts about food and weight often feel alone, misunderstood, and hopeless. Unwavering support and personal connection from family is vital. Expect resistance. A person with a feeding or eating disorder can experience deep embarrassment, shame, guilt, fear, and hopelessness. It is important for family members to be as patient as possible. It often takes time and repeated efforts in order to successfully discuss concerns. Physical health can deteriorate. When feeding or eating disorders remain untreated and symptoms persist, family members may see dramatic changes in health, including sudden weight loss or weight gain, high or low blood sugar, easy or frequent bruising, unhealthy skin and hair, easily broken bones, gastrointestinal problems, rotting teeth, and other significant medical issues. Crisis is possible. Physical deterioration can lead to crisis. While most people receive care prior to a crisis, advanced feeding or eating disorders can result in life-threatening situations, including cardiac arrest, coma, organ failure, and suicidal thoughts and behavior. If this happens, emergency medical attention should be sought immediately. Treatment works. Feeding and eating disorders are serious conditions that are scary for the person suffering and the family. It's important for family members to confidently discuss the treatment options for these conditions and know that evidence-based treatments can be successful. Because these disorders are common, there are mental health providers, physicians, crisis lines, peer support groups, and organizations dedicated to providing useful, empathetic, and supportive resources for both patients and their families. People experience feeding or eating disorders together with their families. The conditions can be scary and they are dangerous if left untreated. But families and people can seek treatment together, and treatment works. With some basic preparation and awareness, a family can find and provide help. And with this help, there is hope. If you or someone you are worried about is struggling with any of the issues discussed in this short video, help is just a phone call away. Please call the National Eating Disorders Information and Referral Line at 1-800-931-2237. This confidential helpline will connect you to the right resource and care.
Trying to find it. Okay, thank you. All right, this is another portion we're going to talk about myth or fact, and I'm going to ask that you guys tell me whether this is myth or fact. All right. 1, many people with eating disorders look healthy. Myth or fact? Anybody want to? What do you think? Oh, let's see. We have two people, Zoe and Julia Perez Armando. It seems like everyone got the right answer. It's fact, yes. No matter, even though we had talked about how individuals with eating disorders can have a poor appearance with regards to their nails and their teeth, most people look healthy. Okay, another statement. Is this myth or fact? Eating disorders are a choice. All right, Ben, Armando, Shakira, they all say it is myth, which is true. It is a myth. We have to understand that eating disorders is a mental illness. And like all mental illness, people don't get to choose this illness. It's just a manifestation of things that they're struggling with mentally. Everyone has eating disorders this day. Myth or fact? Yes, everyone got that right. It's myth. In the next slide, it shows that only 9% of Americans actually have an eating disorder in their lifetime. But even though this is a low number, we still shouldn't normalize eating disorders. Eating disorders disrupts personal and family functioning. Myth or fact? What's fact? Shakira, what's fact? Julia, yes, it is a fact. As you know, it doesn't only affect the person eating disorders. Family members get concerned about, friends get concerned about when a person's not feeling their best and doing their best, and especially if they start withdrawing from family and social functions. This one has the statement, genes and environment play an important role in the development of eating disorders. This was mentioned earlier, so hopefully you guys were paying attention. Yes, it's a fact. As we stated before, eating disorders is not something people choose. It can show up and can be a factor in their genes and their environment. So please take that in mind when you encounter someone who is struggling with an eating disorder. So let me give you some more facts about eating disorders. The overall lifetime prevalence of eating disorder is estimated to be 8.6 among females, and it does show up in males as well, with 4.07%. This is an important fact to know, that every 52 minutes, one person dies as a direct consequence of an eating disorder. So within this presentation, one person is suffering and dying from and struggling with an eating disorder. And the global eating disorder prevalence has increased from 3.5% to 7.8% between 2000 and 2018. Now, I like to open up the floor to see what do you think occurred within those 18 years that might have been a factor to this increase.
The internet and social media.
Thank you. Yes, Shakira. Now, was that Julia or something?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Julia. I'm sorry, I can't see you. All right, yes, you're right, Julia and Shakira. Yes, it is the internet. The internet has exposed young people to these ideals, these body ideals, and has been prominent in influencing young people and what they think is an ideal body image. So unfortunately, social media has been a factor in the eating disorder prevalence. So let's talk about that. Let's talk a little bit more about the effects of the media and what to do about it when you feel that your friend or loved one is being influenced negatively by media. Some facts about the media. The 13 to 18-year-olds use some type of media for about 7.5 hours daily. Now think about that. These individuals should be in school. So when they're not in school, they are on their phones, on their tablets, on whatever screen they have available, and they're looking at YouTube videos, TikTok, Instagram. They're consuming that type of media. So when that media focuses on a lot about body image, of course, as the study has shown below, that they're more likely to experience body image issues. So individuals who are consuming more than 2 hours daily were 1.6 times more likely to experience body image issues. So what can we do about the media if it's triggering you or a friend? One thing is we suggest limiting your screen time. And you can do that through apps that you have on your phone or your devices to kind of keep a track of it, and even close down certain social media apps if you feel like it's being too excessive. You can choose to follow body positive pages or individuals. You can also advocate for safe and inclusive body talk. So that means that even if you have web pages, or if you have a podcast or a YouTube channel, you can try to emulate body positive talk and talk about things that matter. All right. As the last one said, be the change you want to see. Now we're going to talk about, we talked about eating disorders, but it's very important to remember that eating is an essential part of being human. And we have to have a great, healthy relationship with food. It sustains us. It keeps us alive. It makes us active. It builds new cells and tissues for growth. It prevents and fights infections. So we have to have a positive relationship with food, because it can provide us many benefits. So how do we do that? We do that by 3 things: balance, moderation, and mindfulness. Balance means, making sure that you have the right amount of food groups and nutrients to sustain a healthy lifestyle. Moderation means that you just don't deny yourself foods that are possibly high in fat or sugar, but that you consume it in appropriate portions. And mindful. When you're eating, being present when you're eating. Knowing the signals that you're full and knowing the signals when you're hungry. Many of us sometimes eat while working. I'm a culprit of that, or watching TV or watching whatever media form that you're watching. So we don't get to enjoy the food. It's almost just like a mindless activity. But we have to understand what we put into and enjoy the food that we have and are eating. Here is the choosemyplate.gov. This is a different representation of what I was previously had learned in school about the food pyramid. Now they show how to balance the types of foods you should have on your plate. And as you notice, like vegetables and grains are a little bit bigger portion than the other types of foods, but they're all there. They're all being represented. Now, does anyone know what is the healthy amount of food we as teenagers and adults should be taking daily?
As for calories,
Yes, sorry. Yeah, as for calories.
2,000.
Well, actually, it's a little bit more, but it
Really?
depends
Oh my
on
God.
year and gender. It's 2,500 to 2,800. As I mentioned, that's the average. And this is for teenagers and adults. Like, of course, it depends on how old you are and your gender. Okay, I'm going to show you in a couple of slides what 2,500 looks like when it's separated out into meals. It could look like this with a range of fruits and vegetables. These look appetizing, right? So yes, food can be healthy and appetizing and tasty. It can look like this. This is broken up into breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and even a few snacks. Or this. You can even have a little bit of pretzel, a little bit of chips that you've seen, and fruit. Those aren't bad, just as long as it's within moderation. Okay. Now, how do we help a friend suffering from an eating disorder? Here's how to help. Basically, you can learn as much as you can about eating disorders, and you're taking a step right now by attending this presentation. You can speak to them in a caring but firm tone and be honest and vocal about your concerns, why you're concerned about the way they're eating, how you're concerned about their health. Be a good role model. What does that mean? Basically, that means like not always focusing on your own body image, not saying, oh, I wish I was, 10 or 20 pounds lighter. Try to say, oh, I feel healthy today, or, I'm going to eat healthy today. And if you see that this person can't help themselves, they are heading toward a crisis, suggest they seek professional help, because it's hard for them to do it alone. What not to do when trying to help? Well, definitely, you can't place shame, blame, or guilt. Like as I mentioned in the previous slide, this is not a choice. This doesn't require willpower. There are no simple solutions to eating disorders. All right. You can't invalidate their experience. You don't know what it's like for them. You don't know what are the thoughts and experiences that push them to take unhealthy habits such as they're doing in their eating disorder. Please don't give advice about weight, exercise, appearance. It's not going to go well. It's not going to be taken well. They already know what they need to do, but whatever it is that they're struggling with is stopping them from, putting those things into place. But definitely the last one, definitely do not ignore or avoid the situation until it's severe or life-threatening. You want to avoid that. You want to make sure that they have access to the help that they need. And let me talk about what that looks like. Eating disorders needs treatment. It needs psychotherapy. It needs medical care and monitoring, because it can affect their health. As I mentioned before, it can cause premature death. They need nutritional counseling, and sometimes medication. Treatment can have a combination of all these things, but for someone with a severe eating disorder, they need help. Now, they can't do it on their own. Now, a lot of the treatment goals are for anyone who's suffering from eating disorders. The goals are to restore adequate nutrition, of course, to bring weight to a healthy level, reduce the maladaptive behaviors such as excessive exercise, binge purging, and binge eating. But of course, also to address underlying mental health issues, because many times someone who's suffering from an eating disorder might have a co-occurring disorder such as substance use. So that has to be taken into consideration when they're receiving treatment. Last but not least, these are resources. There's a QR code to the National Eating Disorder Association will provide you more information than what I have provided here. Treatment sources. Sometimes individuals need inpatient treatment if they can't manage it out in the community. There are outpatient treatment, but for those who are severe, those that are life-threatening might require an inpatient stay. And I put the link there of possible local treatments that are located in New Jersey. So please take that in mind. And last but not least, I want to leave you with a quote. Take care of your body. It's the only place you have to live. Thank you again.